Hi everyone, I know it's been quite a while since my last video. I do apologize, life was pretty crazy these last few months. So after 6 months of living in Texas, I decided to come back to Florida, the Sunshine State. I've been back in Florida now for just over a month, and I had some time to reflect on my time living in Texas, namely San Antonio, the Alamo City. Unfortunately, no, I did not have a chance to visit the Alamo while I was there, nor did I have the chance to visit Lackland Air Force Base, which is where I did my basic military training for the Air Force when I was 19. Long time ago. I am glad that I decided to leave Texas, the Lone Star State. Life in Texas was quite challenging for me. I struggled the whole time that I was there. The couple that I was living with, they were nice people, and they did a lot to help me out too, and I greatly appreciate everything that they did. But their level of cleanliness was several notches above my level of cleanliness, and I'm a relatively clean person, but they were pretty extreme, and I wish I had known that ahead of time, that they had been more transparent with their level of cleanliness. But it was more so her than him. That was what she wanted, so therefore that's was what he wanted. And it did make things stressful for me at times. I did my best with it. I'm not an extreme person, but I am a relatively clean person, if that makes any sense. Not to the point where I'm obsessive compulsive about cleanliness. And I don't think that's healthy. But I did my best. I did have a chance to visit other cities in Texas and other towns and see other parts of the states, which was pretty nice. I had a chance to visit Austin. Austin was okay, but a little too busy for me. I did like Georgetown, Buda. Killeen was okay. Copper's Cove was okay. Round Rock was pretty nice. But if I ever had to return to the state of Texas, I most likely would not choose San Antonio unless the opportunity presented itself. Then I would consider it. Unlike the last 2 to 3 years, it wasn't that bad this summer as far as heat was concerned. They were telling me, everyone was telling me, well, it's going to be over 100 for several days at a time over the summer, so just a fair warning about that. But this year wasn't that bad. Sure, it was hot, and we did make it into the 90s several times, but we didn't have that long stretch of 100-degree plus weather. There was a week in May of all months, which is still spring technically, that we did have daytime highs that reached into the hundreds, and later in the evening, going into nighttime, it was in the 90s. And I remember being out on those nights, and it felt pretty hot. The sun wasn't out, and that felt a little strange too because it was already dark, but it was pretty hot. I was able to walk, but gee, I couldn't imagine dealing with that for an entire month straight. So, do I regret choosing to go to Texas, to move to Texas for the contract job that was presented to me? You know, I won't say that I regret it. I still wonder why God brought me there. I'm not sure why He wanted me to experience what I experienced out there, because here I am back in Florida. But there was a reason why I chose to come back to Florida. I received a job offer for a GRC contract role. I accepted the offer, and at the same time, around that time, I did several interviews with Capital One for a PCI role. And I made it all the way to the final interview stage, which is called Power Day, which is a 4 hour long interview, and you're interviewing with four different people. You have some breaks in between, but it was a pretty long and intense interview process. But long story short, unfortunately, I did not get that role. That job was actually located in Plano, Texas, and I didn't have a chance to visit that area, the DFW area of Texas, the northern part, But I was planning on relocating if I did receive that job offer there for Capital One. It just wasn't meant to be. It was meant for me to come back to Florida. So here I am. And at least I'm coming back with something. I'm not unemployed, which is nice. So far, I like the new job here. It's with a company here, pretty well known. I won't say the name, but it's in the field of GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. I don't have a lot of responsibility just yet. It's kind of nice because everyone there seems to get along okay, at least with me anyway. And at the end of the day, I don't feel overworked or anxious from work. In fact, the most difficult part about this job is commuting 3 times a week, considering I do not own a vehicle right now. Usually, what I'll do is in the mornings, 3 times a week, I'll just take Lyft into work and catch the bus coming back. I have to catch 2 buses coming back home here. It's not too bad, but the convenience of owning a vehicle or having more independence when it comes to transportation is definitely a luxury that I'm kind of missing now. My last vehicle, I sold it a little over a year and a half ago, and I have not owned a vehicle since. I do have an e-bike, and I get around on that whenever I can. But what's nice about the bus ride home, after I get off on the last bus stop, I have about a block or two to walk back to the house. And during that time, I use that time to tune everything out. I turn off my phone. I don't have any type of stimulation or any type of content on that I'm consuming. And I try to use that time. This is most days, not every day. I try to use that time to just be in my own thoughts and have a clear mind and think about things. And I always feel better when I do. But my biggest concern about owning a vehicle today in 2025 is the cost associated with owning a vehicle today in 2025. As we all know, owning a car here in America is, for the most part, essential, and it's no longer affordable. Most people are spending a lot just to own a vehicle, whether it's insurance, maintenance, or if you have car payments. A lot of people spend quite a lot of money on owning a vehicle, on their vehicle. And I don't want to fall into that trap. So if I do decide to purchase another vehicle, it's definitely going to be a used vehicle. I would like to have something a little nicer than what I had before. I do like the Toyota Highlanders. The prices on those are pretty expensive too. The resale value is pretty good on them, but they are reliable cars. But for the time being, I have my e-bike and I assembled it a few weeks ago after being here for a few weeks. I finally got around to it and I'm now riding it again. I don't ride it to work because work is too far and I don't think the infrastructure is here for me to actually safely ride my e-bike to work. But it's nice having it and I try to ride it whenever I can. It has been raining a lot here lately, which is unusual for October. Usually September is one of the rainier months here. So to have it in October is a little unusual. But I think it's supposed to be clear tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. And it isn't raining right now, so maybe I'll take it out and ride it around for a little bit. So it's nice having Audrey back in my life, which is my e-bike. Audrey, like Audrey Hepburn, named it after Audrey Hepburn, and she rides like a dream. I know that I have said this in the past. I would like to make more videos. Life has been pretty busy, especially while I was in Texas. Like I said, I was dealing with quite a lot. But I'd like for life to slow down a bit. Now that I'm back in Florida and I'm back, at my parents' house for a while, I'd like to start making more videos again. And, there's a lot of far too much chaos happening around us today in 2025. So I would like to focus more on lighthearted topics. because I believe that we all deserve a break from the chaos every once in a while. So, some of the ideas that I have for this channel, maybe I could start doing album reviews. Earlier this year, I got back into CDs and I've been listening to uh, books on tape. I need to mail this back to the San Antonio Library. I took it with me on the drive back. And I've been listening to a lot of music CDs from my past too, which has been really nice. So maybe I could do some album reviews on some of my old CDs. Maybe that'll be interesting. You can let me know if you'd like to see that. And I'm trying to focus more on what I want out of life and taking care of my well being, whether it's doing yoga, going on walks, or unplugging from all of the craziness that is going on in the world now. But it's nice to be back on YouTube. I am a creative person, and when I'm not creating, I feel an emptiness. So I need to focus on that part of my life too, being creative, and whether it's great content, not so great content, or okay content, creating and presenting it to the world. Maybe it could cheer some people up. I don't know. I could probably do that. In fact, I'm wearing a digital watch that I got recently, and I could do a review on that. I decided to no longer wear a smartwatch. The buttons stopped working on my smartwatch, which is right here, so maybe I could do a review on my Casio G-Shock watch if you'd like to see that too. So it's Saturday, and before it gets dark, I'm going to go out and ride my bike and enjoy the evening. So thank you for everyone watching. Please remember to like the video, leave comments. I really need you to like my videos so I can help the algorithm bring more views to my channel so I can make more videos. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. Have a great evening. Bye.